Hey there, you beautiful badass. Welcome to the Keri Croft Show. I'm your host, Keri Croft, delivering you stories that get you pumped up and feeling like the unstoppable savage that you are. So grab your coffee, put on your game face, and let's do this thing, baby. Avena Women's Care is a collective of 40-plus providers that have been serving Central Ohio communities with comprehensive women's health care for decades. They meet women where they are in every phase of life. From fertility services to menopause care, annual checkups to 3D mammography, Avena provides robust services for all. So for the highest level of individualized women's health care, there's one name to remember: Avena Women's Care. Go to www.avenawomenscare.com to request an appointment. Be sure to tell them Keri sent you. Ready to elevate your self-care game? Boss Gal Beauty Bar is a modern med spa offering everything from cosmetic injectables, lasers and microneedling, to medical-grade facials and skincare. Conveniently located in Clintonville, Grandview, Powell, and Easton, making self-care a priority has never been easier. Use code CROFT for $25 off your first visit. Summer's coming in hot, but is your skin summer ready? Fine lines, sun damage, melasma. If these are cramping your vibe, the Moxie laser at Donaldson will leave you glowing. Nervous about lasering your face? I tried Moxie and it was quick and gentle, perfect for first-timers and all skin types. And my results? 10 out of 10. And if you're a first-timer at Donaldson, mention the Keri Croft Show for $100 off your Moxie treatment. Don't say I've never done anything for you.
Can I possibly get water?
No,
Okay.
we do not. We
That's
want you.
fine.
What we like here, we like your throat to get really dry.
I saw a beer in there.
We
Anything
like people to cry. We like you to sweat. Do you want a beer?
I could probably do both. No, I'll do or whatever you have is fine. LaCroix would be perfect. Thank you.
Are we out of Poppy? I don't even like Poppy. Can I have a LaCroix?
It just sounds
decided
cool.
I don't. I cracked one open at my house, and I was like, this doesn't even taste good. Or maybe I'm just mad at her because she sold her company for $1 billion, and she's hot, and like whatever.
Sponsored by LaCroix.
Yeah, why am I giving them? Maybe they'll sponsor us. You never know. Michael Flinner, my friend. Welcome to the Keri Croft Show.
KC.
I'm excited.
I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. So, did you always know? You had mentioned to me when I put that picture up of myself when I was 6. You sent me a DM and you're like, oh my God, same. Mm-hmm. So you knew from a very young age.
It's the old question, right? Are people born entrepreneurs or is it slowly learned? And I think it's probably both. I remember being a kid, probably about that age, 6 or 7 years old, and we had a spare bedroom at my parents' house that was like a toy room. And I'm the youngest of 3, so as we got older, it just became kind of a whatever hangout room. And I remember in the summers, or maybe even after school, but there was a card table in there, and I would set it up and have paper on there. You know, I'd go out and like find paper and books from the living room, bring it in, and have pencils and pens and everything all lined up. And I would pull a, old 1980s metal chair in there and sit behind this card table, and I would just like be a boss. I had no clue what that meant, but like I was, pretending that I was running this company. So I don't know that I was that I was exactly, entrepreneur in that way, but it was like that business mindset, I think, from the early stages of it. And then I think, through the course of probably high school and college, you kind of start putting your head on a swivel like, well, how did that person... I was always intrigued by, because I come from a very small town, I was always intrigued by the quote-unquote successful business person who created the business, who created something from scratch. And then as I got older, it really blew my mind, like, wait, that never existed. Like they had this aha moment one day and they started dreaming and then, worked their butt off. And so
what was your first business and your first aha moment?
Well, like every kid, washing cars, mowing lawns. And, but I think that kind of led into, I had other ideas I just never followed through with because I thought I was supposed to go to college. I was supposed to, be living society's view of what the path was. And I think that's something that's very freeing for like a lot of entrepreneurs is like our path is not like everybody else's. And so when we realize that, it can be very lonely and isolating to think that, well, I don't think like my friends at that early, and if you're 22, 23 years old and you're like, or even younger, like 18, 19, going into college. You're like, well, this isn't for me. Like, I'm a college dropout, so that's why I say that. And so it took a few years, and even into, probably into my mid to late 20s, to I was like, wait a second, like it's okay that I think different. And so yeah, that's when I launched my first company. I was 26.
And in what industry?
In logistics, transportation, and logistics.
Were you passionate about making money? Was that it? Was it like that was the sick? Like, I can't imagine you being like, I'm so passionate about transportation and logistics, but was that it? Like, I'm going to build this empire, or we are going to build this empire? And is that what kind of drove you? Like, you're like, yes, we're going to make money.
I think when you're that young, you don't really know why exactly. You just it seems exciting to. I mean, you know why, because it's the biggest thing was like being on my own, creating something on my own, and it can be that old adage of like be my own boss and wake up and do what I want to do every day. Well, you quickly learn, yeah, I guess your own boss, but you wear a lot of hats in the beginning, and I think once I got into it, I realized that I loved looking at all these industries that we served and wondering how they started. And I was just so curious. And that's when like full entrepreneur kicks in, right? Of like, wow, I got to see 10 different companies this week and how they, ship their products. And it just blew my mind how they were all different. They were all started. Some were third, fourth generation, some were first generation. But I thought it was really neat how, everyone started with the same dream and took a huge risk. And so yeah, just getting to learn, more about the customer base we had.
So you were doing this logistics thing for like 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
You decided you're done. And now you're doing the Fluff,
Mm-hmm.
which is completely different. It's laundry service. So walk us through the thought process that you had in terms of, okay, I did this for 17 years. I'm going to do something different. Like, what kind of ideation did you go through? How long did it take? What made you decide to land on doing laundry for people?
Yeah, it was time for me to move on and try something new, right? To get creative again and look to something new. And I was on YouTube one night, and I've talked about Cody Sanchez, and she's a beast. And she had put a investment into a laundry company in Austin, Texas called The Fold. And I've always thought, quote unquote, passive income industries were interesting, right? Laundry companies, laundromats, car washes. Until you get in them, and I don't think anything is truly passive. But this was different, where they really shined on the pickup and delivery aspect. And again, it goes back to like truly serving the customer, making their lives easier. I was like, I'm in. So I watched this. I probably watched that YouTube video 18 times in like a week, because I would pause and they would show financials. I would zoom in. Okay, how does this work? And I would Google the owners and figure out how they were doing things. And there was a few other articles. And as time went on, there was more press releases on them, and they grew really fast and ultra successful. And Mark Vlaskamp is one of the entrepreneurs that started that. And finally, I think it's like anything else. You talked about at the beginning of like people with these crazy ideas in their head, and there's 4 seasons, and that's the first one I call it, right? It's the dreaming season. When it won't leave you alone, I think you're supposed to. And, you can call it God, the universe, wherever you want, but there's always a tap on your shoulder every so often. You look over, and for me, it was like I could be traveling to a city and walking down a sidewalk in Florida, and there was a pickup and delivery van. I'm like, oh, am I supposed to do this, right? Like, I have a dozen examples like that. And I think when you hear that whisper over and over again, it's time to act on it. And for me, it was a little hard to go back to the beginning, right? Because you remember those days, the first couple of times maybe, and it can be painful. But what I've realized now in my 40s is it's kind of what we make it, and kind of I enjoy it more. I take it slower. What are some of these things teaching me versus just muscling and powering through and not really looking at the bigger picture?
Was part of you like, holy shit, like, so I've spent 17 years building something, I'm walking away, but now I'm looking at this other mountain and I'm getting, I have to start the climb all over again. But isn't that part of the like allure? In a way, if, part of you's like, damn, I have to climb this mountain again, starting at ground zero. But then the other part of you's like, ooh, I'm going to climb this mountain. And now I'm not sharing this with anyone. Now this is all mine, not in terms of money or greed, but in terms of just the whole experience, because I think owning a company with a partner, I don't care what anyone says, I've been there. it's just different. So to have the opportunity to then climb this mountain on your own, I don't know, there's a lot of freedom. It's also very scary.
It is kind of a sick and twisted way of you that we think about it, right? Like, wait a second, I'm going to go back up that mountain. But it's so fun, and the same, aspect of how did you word it one day? And I think I DM'd you back like, I'm going to see how I put this puzzle together or something like that. And it's fun when you make it fun, I guess, if that makes sense. But that was hard, right? Like I know what that mountain looks like. I was up the top of it, I guess I could say. Wasn't long after that I saw a video with David Goggins say, if you find yourself at the top of the mountain, it's fine for you to find a new mountain to climb, right? And so I felt like those words echoed for like weeks, and I was like, okay, I got to go back down and start climbing again. But you're right, it's new, it's refreshing, it's something that I'm creating, and building a new team, building new ideas, learning from new mistakes. So yeah, it can be very exciting. I think we also have to remind ourselves that at least at this phase, this new company is just to give myself and anyone that might be in the same position, give yourself tons of grace of, don't care how long you've been in this game, like you're going to make mistakes. And this is the first time it's my first business to consumer venture, right? Like all these different things could come into play, and just go along with this journey.
So it's called the Fluff, and it's laundry delivery. Where are you doing all the laundry?
Right now, we have partnered up with a facility near campus. It's centrally located, which is nice, close to 71. I wanted to, and I started in a facility before that, which was fine. This one is got plenty of room as we grow. We're not going to like take over the place. And then I've really built a good rapport with the owner. He's amazing. And so that was big, to find a relationship with the owner and find one that wasn't too busy in the hours that we were going to need it, and that we were going to also flood the thing. So right now it's working. We're growing pretty fast. So he and I are watching that closely to see, what next steps might be. But yeah, it's a facility right here near campus.
And you have a delivery truck outside that's wrapped. I mean, you're committed.
Oh yeah,
You're driving that puppy around all day long.
all in. Yeah,
So do you deliver it?
I'm the driver.
I know you deliver it to Kimmy, but I didn't know she had like some special, access.
Yeah, she gets owner access delivered.
Right.
No. So the beginning, I'm a firm believer in, there's a couple different ways I could have done this, right? Like I could have went out and raised a campaign and hired 10 people I didn't really need, and including driver. And I just come from how I started the first, gig was like, let's get in the mud. Let's see how this thing works. And I got to tell you, there's no better way when you look back a year, 3 years, 5 years from now, when all the procedures are in place that you had to put in, like that I'm putting in now, makes sense, right? It's a big trial and error, but you're not going to know unless you're swimming in those waters in the beginning. And so, am I going to be driving this van forever? No, but I'm having fun with it now, right? We're shooting content with it, and you got to just swallow the pride and the ego and be like, I'm in. And embarrasses my 17-year-old daughter when she sees this thing. She goes, I feel like every time you're in it driving through Bexley, like I see you with my friends in the car. I'm like, well, you should wave. Tell them I'll give them a promo code, right? Let's go. Let's get their parents on board.
I mean, but that's okay. So lesson for an entrepreneur. I mean, that's neon light for me in my mind is if you can't get in on the ground floor and do all the things, what are you even doing?
Yeah. I spent like 3 nights ago, just single dude on his couch shopping for best price per ounce on soap that's good soap. I don't want the cheapest. But yeah, that's what
Yeah.
But stuff like that. And I've got an awesome team. I got a couple people inside, doing the wash, dry, fold, which they're amazing. And I'm so lucky to have found them. But yeah, like I'm doing everything else, the driving, and we don't have routes set up now. So we're trying to figure that out. And, stuff gets dropped in overnight and you got to be able to pivot the next morning, and it's fun. I'm having fun with it, knowing this isn't forever, but how am I going to direct and lead and tell future drivers how it's supposed to be done if I'm not in it, right? Like, and we have this motto with Francis and Jasmine, the 2 awesome team members I had with me, and I'm going to get t-shirts made with this, but the repeat business is built on the folding table. And I tell them, like, you guys are rock stars. Look, boom, this customer came back. Boom, this customer came back. Because the machines wash dry the clothes, right? But the repeat business is built on that presentation when they open those bags. And so I'm like, this is all you guys, right? And so that'll be the future message to the drivers too. Like, nobody wants, somebody that looks sloppy, shirt untucked, in a bad mood, walking in their flower beds, driver, right? But I have to have all these experiences to know and start to build rapport with the customers to know, like, okay, now I know when we start hiring drivers, I can kind of set the stage of what's the expectation.
Well, I think social media glamorizes entrepreneurship. Like, and you have so many people who are looking at whatever it is on social media that someone's curated. And everybody, of course, like, oh, yes, I would love that. I would love to own this business or have this glamorous life. I think they forget the millions of steps that it takes to get there. And so you have no choice but to drive the truck. You have no choice but to be on the ground floor because without you building it, there would be no ground floor. It's like people's perceptions or idea of what it really takes to build something sustainable with heart and that matters. I mean, you better love it.
Keri, I launched in February. Very soft launch. I took my daughter on spring break in March, and I knew going into it, if this thing works, and here we are in July, that this statement was going to be true, I'm not going to have a vacation for a while. And that's okay. I'm okay with that, right? Like, been blessed to travel, and I've done a ton of that. Am I going to ever? Yeah, it's going to happen again. But yeah, I'm in this chapter, you're right, where it's glamorized a lot of what it's really not. And not that it's awful, it's just part of the journey. And it's season 1, phase 1, which can go, and they could be like that for 20 years for some people who just want to be, small business owners, and they don't want to expand and have other people come in and take over. But for me, it's fun for now, and you just have to know some of these sacrifices are going to be worth it, and it's not forever.
Okay, Michael. So I do feel like laundry service is like, if you had a list of things to take off your plate, whether you're single mom, single dad, married, both of you work, it doesn't matter. Laundry is a pain in the ass. And so I feel like it is ripe for the picking. You have the fluff, you're doing the laundry service, but I think it's also, there's hurdles to overcome, right? Like, it's air laundry, that's a little intimate. People like it to smell a certain way. They want it to, like, I just think there's nothing more intimate than like me giving you my laundry. So help me get over the hump there to, like, why would I decide to let you do it?
And it's a newer service. So a lot of people quickly adapt to it. Like, this makes sense. I get it. Let's go. And for those that don't, I think the facts of where we're at in today's society with time is, we just dropped this on Instagram yesterday or the day before, where, the average load of laundry for residential machines, right, is 3 hours, right? So you wash it and you dry it. Those are usually 40 to 50 minute cycles. And then you're going to do the thing everybody hates, right? We're going to act like we're going to get out of the dryer right away. We might let it sit there and have to rerun the dryer. But no, if, you get out of the dryer and you start folding it, which most people just, can't stand, but it's 3 hours. And so, that's one load. And so you imagine a family of 3, 4, 5 people. It's interesting how I get in these conversations. Never thought I'd be talking about this much laundry with people. But like, I literally have a conversation with a mom, and she'll say, thank God you guys are doing this. I spend 6 hours, 7 hours a week on laundry. I do it every day for an hour if I keep up with it. And if I don't, we're seeing a lot of people, like a lot of our regular customers, especially this time of year, coming off of summer and camps and vacations. I mean, they're dumping 3 and 4 large bags because it's overwhelming. I mean, you know what it is. Your mom, like, you get back from a vacation, you're like, oh my gosh, like, how am I even gonna? And so that's our biggest thing is it's gonna save time. And if you can save time, and most people are intentional with their children, like, okay, let's go to the park, let's go on a walk, let's go to the pool. Like, I don't have to worry about laundry. And with school starting, after school activities and little kids, and you're bussing them around town and sports and camps and clubs, and everybody gets home at 10 o'clock and goes, oh, you don't have any clothes, you don't have the shirt you want to wear tomorrow, you don't have the, and for some parents, they don't have the uniform, right? They need it turned in 24 hours. And so it's just kind of this common theme that I'm noticing with parents and singles too, right? Like I can think of one young professional we have, and I've talked to him, and he's like, I'm traveling all the time. You know, he gives us the access code to his building. We're up. He leaves his bag in the hallway. He's traveling all the time. When he gets back from 3 or 4 day work trip and he's got another one in 2 days, he doesn't want to do laundry. And so I think it's a common theme for both singles and families is time.
So prediction from you. Where's this at in 5 years?
I don't know if I said 5 years when I'm about to tell you, but my best friend from back home who loves 90s rap and R&B just as much as you do. I've told you about him. He and I were texting one night, and I said something like, let's get this bad boy up to 12. I was showing him pictures of the van, and I said 12 vans, and he said, no, you're going to have 50. I was like, okay, I don't know about that, but who knows? In 5 years, I don't think it would be out of the question to say. I kind of gauge it in delivery vans because that's how my nerdy math works behind the scenes because I know how many pickup and deliveries that is. But I think it's, several hundred, customers. I think it's, probably 10 to 12 vans. And I think we're leaning into another market.
Oh, okay. So you have all those vans just for Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Leaning into another market in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I think the Natty would be good.
Oh, nice.
I don't know.
A lot of dirt, a lot of dirty laundry in the
A
Natty.
lot of stuff coming out of the river. So let me ask you. So you were in this season of how long you've had the Keri Croft show?
A little over 2 years.
Do you remember what the feeling was like going into the very first episode?
I think overall it felt very natural because I knew I always had wanted to do a show. Of course you have those little voices in your head of like, what are you doing? You're in your home office, you dumbass. Who wants to listen to this shit? But I think that the enjoyment of it and just really genuinely wanting to sit down with the people that I sat down with, I think that sort of was louder than the imposter syndrome. So
that's a great next question is I feel like imposter syndrome is talked about a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't know that entrepreneurs are talking about it enough though. I think a lot of people for content are, but that's a good segue into what would you tell like a young entrepreneur like coming into this, because you're coaching and advising people. A lot of it is like, I don't know, Keri, I've never started it. Most people are like, I don't deserve to start a company because I've never started a company before. Yeah. So like, what do you tell people with imposter syndrome?
Do it anyway and never expect. It's not a thing that goes away. So imposter syndrome, like that's like this fancy name that we've put on just being a human. It's self-doubt. It's you have the good, the bad. You have things you're great at, things that you suck at. And so we all have internal dialogue that goes on that continuum all day long, every day. And so to think that you're never, that somehow that's going to be something you can take a pill and just cure. You're constantly, I don't care who you look at, they're constantly doubting themselves in certain ways. Now, some people have built the muscle. The more that here's how I would coach someone is first you have to have the belief. Before you do anything, if I don't believe I can do it, I'm never going to put myself on stage to do it. So I have that internal belief that has to outweigh the internal critic, right? So now I believe in myself enough to take that first step and to take that action. What that belief does is it builds my confidence, right? So now I'm not even really, I know it. I know I can do it. Now I'm doing it. And now this little muscle is growing as I'm doing it. And the next thing I know, I'm super confident. And what does confidence do? It builds momentum. So it's belief, confidence, momentum. Let's fucking go. And so if you realize that no one's special, that everybody starts in that place of being like, I'm a dumbass, but the people who win do it anyway. You fight through it. And then guess what happens? Does that voice go away? It probably doesn't. But the belief, the confidence, and the momentum are so loud. The people who figure out, in spite of themselves, how to believe, build confidence, and get the momentum to go, and they're consistent with it, those are the ones that are going to win.
Yeah, because what is it, like 90% of the thoughts we think aren't true anyways.
Right.
And it's, and they're all self-deprecating.
And I think the more you have then too, the more you create, and this is what I've noticed with my clients, because a lot of people don't have structure. They don't have a system. Like this person that came in last week, she's a newbie and she's building her brand and her business. And she's like, well, people tell me they're at work, they're like, just post. I mean, no one means anything by that. Yeah, just post. But if you don't pull that back and have like, okay, first of all, why? Why am I doing any of this? Okay, that's a whole separate conversation. Now you understand that and you're aligned with it. But now you have the whole process and system side, right? So what is your specific infrastructure to not only posting, but how are you marketing? Posting is one pillar of your system. It's one small part of the whole. And once people can see that and go, oh, wait, I actually have like a foundation here and a rhythm. This is how it works. Then you look back at just posts and you're like, okay, like.
What made you want to start that?
So when I ended my business relationship and I spent 10 amazing years at SOS, just incredible. I made myself, and that's part of why I started the show, where I'm like, let's just do something you enjoy without hooks, without revenue. Like, let's just do something you enjoy to just kind of bridge whatever is going to happen. And in doing that, it led me to many conversations and just really great, authentic moments with people. And so I allowed myself to listen. And I was like, well, wait, what was I really doing at SOS? Like, what really happened there, right? And what really happened there was I met someone who had this idea that was a total kind of, it was like this ball of Christmas lights. You know how it, like, you couldn't even figure out what was going on, right? Yeah. It was just this thing, and I saw potential in it. It was a name and a couple of classes. And I was in a space, I was going through infertility. I wanted something that brought me joy, and I loved to work out. The rest is history. And so I helped to create the belief, the confidence, the momentum in what became System of Strength, along with my business partner. We did that. And I was like, that was what I enjoyed so much about that process. And that's the part I feel like where I shine. I can help people do that. And then I was like, okay. And so as I've been doing this show, I created Maneater Media, and one thing led to the next. And then people are asking me business advice or asking questions. And I'm like, well, why am I not making this the thing? And I guess I think I was in this ideation phase for so long where it's like, you don't want to jump back into a relationship. Like when you're in a partnership with a business, it's like a marriage. And so I had a lot to work through just emotionally and just kind of figuring things out. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? You know, all that self-reflection stuff. And so I just didn't want to jump into anything, but that's just it's just what kept happening. You know, people are just, you know, what questions are people asking you? What are people coming to you for? What are people asking for guidance on? And then I'm like, okay, Captain Obvious, this is what you should be doing, right? Is helping people build the thing. And so that's when I sat back and just started to design what I felt like are these entrepreneurial prototypes. And it just kind of all goes into this journey. And as luck would have it, people they like it. They seem to like it. And so we have, like I said, just have been taking clients and we've soft launched it. And I've just really been, again, in that phase of just enjoying it. I am having so much fun, so we have a product that's called Brand and Build Blueprint. And that's like for someone who wants to build their personal brand, or if they're going to be doing a solopreneur thing, or even with their business. It's like stepping back and really figuring out like how to brand this thing. What are your reasons? What's aligned? And then what's the process? So we have like a left side and a right side. The left side's all the ooey gooey, like the alignment and the values and everything. But then you have to take that through some kind of assembly line in order to build something sustainable. So you have that right side that is then the plumbing and the electric and the systems that you have to take that stuff through to really do the thing. You know, so that's one engagement that has been just like really taking off. And then I have a couple of clients right now in the build out phase, which is they've built something really great. So I've got the balanced balanced child method. And she is a really talented entrepreneur, and she's ready to scale this thing across the country. And so our philosophy with that is really, it's simple in terms of where are you at now, your current state, and what needs to be true in order for you to replicate this in the most efficient way. You know, because as you know, if you have a thing like the Fluff or whatever it is, and you've been in this thing for so long, and you built all these SOPs, and you've got all this stuff everywhere, and as organized as you try to be, you've got duplicity, you've got gaps, you've got all kinds of stuff. So like liken it to like a garden. Your garden may have all kinds of weeds and shit, and like, so and then when you want to scale, you're in like go mode.
Yeah.
But the first thing that you should do as a smart entrepreneur is step back and say, okay, current state, what are we doing really well? What needs help? So we like to call it like what needs to be true before we move forward.
Oh, I like that.
And you spend a lot of time there, and it's been really cool. So there's 6 prototypes, and actually there's almost 7 now because there's another one which is like basically burnout. And I'm finding these though from people. So I didn't just sit down in a silo by myself and go, which I could have, because just for my journey, I'm basically meeting with people and listening and helping, and then I'm like, oh wait, this is actually a prototype, and it's true because this person's sitting here with me, and this is the phase that they're in.
So you have really prototypes, clients, real life examples from the dreaming stage to mountaintop burnout.
Yep.
And everything in between.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I will say another thing too that's interesting is there is one that's called Blocked. And what's cool, because I've been also very, it's been complicated because I spent 10 years at SOS, and there was so much fitness and mindset, and, you know, I'm all about sort of the mindset. And so there's a mixture of mindset and business that goes into the B Lab. And so there's this person who's blocked, and they haven't even really found the idea yet. Where they are is they're kind of miserable, self-loathing, because they know they can do more. They know that they are meant to do more, and they ideate, but they're so stuck in either toxic relationships internally, externally, their habits, like they are stuck underneath themselves, and they have to sort of do some work there before they can really get to like, okay, wait, here's my idea, and I'm starting to visualize the starting line.
Yeah.
So I also have, like, from my experience with SOS, sort of these philosophies that I can help people who are blocked. It's like, you know, your current version of you versus the ideal. And it's this bridge. It's this bridge. And you say, okay, let's get real honest about the current version of you. Let's do an internal, external audit, which is very powerful. You know, an internal audit is basically what the fuck you're doing, but externally is who you're surrounding yourself with, removing the title from whether it's mom, dad, whomever, and putting feelings. How do you feel around them? How do they make you, what's the energy, right? And then you look at all of that and you put a positive or a negative, and you start to look at it and you're like, holy shit, well, no wonder I can't get out of my own way, because between my fucked up habits every day that I'm completely rationalizing and the external people I'm allowing myself to hang out with, how the fuck am I ever going to get to the starting line to be the best version of me? How am I going to do that? So that person who's blocked needs some mindset work, right? They need to sift through some of that. And I get, as you can tell, very passionate about that. You only walk around, you only get this life once.
Right.
Really? Why aren't you sprinting? Because sometimes people don't even know what they don't know. Stress and inflammation take a toll on your body and your wellness. Relax, restore, and rejuvenate at Panacea Luxury Spa Boutique. Book any service of $100 or more and enjoy 2 hours in our luxury amenities. Unwind in our Himalayan salt saunas. Recharge in our wet retreat space with a eucalyptus steam room, hot hydrotherapy pool, and cold plunge. Then drift into deep relaxation with our hanging loungers. What's your panacea? We'll help you find it. Listen, nobody loves laundry day. But thanks to the Fluff, laundry is officially off your to-do list. Just schedule your pickup on the Fluff app, toss your dirty clothes in any bag you've got, and leave it on your front porch. The Fluff handles the rest, returning your laundry fresh, folded, and in our reusable vinyl bag in just 24 to 48 hours. Flat rate pricing means you stuff the bag full, and yes, pickup and delivery are totally free in Central Ohio. Use promo code Keri for 20% off your first order. P.S. Ask about our monthly subscription to keep life simple and your laundry done. Who says you need a special occasion to feel like a celeb? I mean, stress is real. Life is busy. And your scalp? Yeah, it deserves some love too. That's where Headspace by Mia Santiago comes in. Treat yourself or someone who deserves it to a luxurious scalp treatment and a killer blowout or cut, because nothing says main character energy, honey, like a fresh style from celebrity stylist Mia and her team. And because we love a good deal, mention the Keri Croft Show and get 20% off your service or any gift card for somebody in your life that you love. Headspace by Mia Santiago, because great hair days shouldn't be rare.
Two things that follow up. So you're not telling them, you're really showing them.
Yep, that's
right?
why it's a lab.
Yeah, I love that.
So here's another thing too that is really, I have spent, when I tell you the amount of time in this torture chamber, the only person who knows is the girl to my right, and probably my husband, because this isn't about making money. Like, okay, of course, do I have goals? I have revenue goals. Do I want this to be financially successful? Fuck yes. Anyone out there who isn't, if that's not one of your pillars, I probably would shake you. But it's one. More than that, I want to feel like I'm contributing and making a positive impact in people's lives. And so at the end of the day, I was like, I don't want to do this like check a box course, or I don't want, and there's no shame, but it always fell flat to me. I'm like, this needs to be an interactive, like street therapy session meets business workshop meets we sit down together and look at your shit and real time it. I really want you, Michael, when you're done with this, I want you to be a part of the B Lab community. I want to connect you and network you with people who I really feel like are going to add value. And I want 2 years from now, I want to still be connected somehow to you and to know that like we have done something really cool. Mm-hmm. You know, it's very important to me that this makes a difference for somebody. And so far it's been, and we're still tweaking stuff, right? So these interactions, especially when you're doing like a build out, like, so if you're an entrepreneur and you're like, you know, I've really thought about opening in a new market or I want to expand, that's not a conversation we're going to have in 2 hours and then I walk away.
Right.
I'm not going to give you some canned thing on my agenda. It's more like, hey, let's figure out exactly what this is for you and what would add the most value. And then we sort of map out. But it's very interactive. It's very workshop-y. Lab. Mm-hmm. That's why we call it the lab.
More
and then
intimate
B,
and
of
custom.
course, is, I mean, name it. Name a word. Business, build, brand, badass, believe, belong, brain, body. I mean, who you know, you could name a million B's that I was like, oh shit. Well, what else could I possibly call this but the B Lab?
I love that.
Biggie.
Yeah.
Booyah.
I think the Keri Croft version's Biggie.
You know? So I'm excited. I'm really excited about it. And we're looking at a mini Shark Tank here potentially.
Ooh.
That's too, like when I look at, you know, like you say with the Fluff, like your 5-year vision or whatever, having a couple leaning into a market and have one of my longer term visions is like, they're not all going to align. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to want to invest in everything, but could there be someone out there who, you know, maybe we align farther than just a B Lab engagement? You know, I mean, you never know.
Never know. Mm-mm. You said multiple times, and I love this, is the best version of themselves.
Yeah.
I've really unpacked that a lot in this past 2 years of my life, is because I don't think till you're really in it, you realize how much power that is. Mm-hmm. Like, I think we have so much untapped potential if we can maneuver and manage a lot of little things of, you know, the whirlwind that goes on upstairs and what does it look like for Keri to perform as the best version of herself every day?
I love that question because I mean, I have such not a great answer, but like I've been working very diligently toward this answer. So, and I've talked about this a couple times. I have in my sauna, I have there's a piece of wood that goes down vertically. And so I put actual Post-it notes.
Ooh.
Now I've upgraded to Post-it. Actually, there was a client that made me, she had her daughter make me laminated colored ones. So it looks a little bit better than that now. The top ones, what I would do is I would visualize mentally. They would be in my head. Now they're just there. So the top one is MF. Okay, and it's not motherfucker.
It's my initials. Thanks, Keri.
I'm soft launching my obsession with you.
Wow.
I just literally, it's what I think about every day.
That's why you lit up when I asked that question.
Right.
Wow.
So it's me first, right? And so in that first column is like, okay, what does me first mean? It means being as healthy as I can be. Am I exercising? Am I trying to put good things in my body? Am I trying to keep habits at bay that I know I can have a propensity towards? What are the answers? You stay with that. Just you stay there in the MF and you start thinking those things through. Am I doing a good job? Where do I need to be better? What do I need to be leaning into? Because I'm not going to perform the best I can for my kids, for my husband, for my circle, for the business or anything if I'm not doing those things first. And so when you start to do this visualization, you start to then draw it in, right? So I know what the habits are. I know how many times I've worked out. And that just draws you back to, okay, Keri, like we're doing great or we have some work to do. And then the second one below is IIC, invest in your inner circle.
Ooh.
So your inner circle is your family, and then those close people around you. But that's after doing this like external audit, like who really are those close people around you? And that's a hard one to do because you may find yourself, thinking, So how are you investing in those people? So for me right now, I have 2 young children and I have a husband. So it's like, am I being present? What are we doing this summer? Let's go to Cedar Point. Okay, make memories. Let's go to the lake. So you're literally reminding yourself, sitting watching this IIC, you're like, okay, these are my people. What have I done for this person? How do I invest in their emotional bank account? What can I do to surprise and delight that person? Really, like just these are the people, everyone else's noise, whoever's made it on this list, what can I do? And I'm not saying every single day you're trying to figure out how to like drop something off on somebody's door. You just know who these people are. And over time, if you haven't really thought about that person for a while, okay, what's going on there? It could be a text message. It could be whatever. And then after IIC is BYE, build your empire. Okay, and that one I can spend a lot of time on. And I know that's a flaw. And as I get older, I'm like, why are you spending so much fucking time here? That's one way to like kind of get yourself to stop, because it's like, okay, you can't spend all your time with the business stuff. So again, maybe the exercise that day is like skip that one because you're constantly thinking about that, right?
Yep. Oh yeah.
And then the last one is improve the atmosphere, ITA. And so how is the build your empire? How is that aligning to the values, the purpose, the legacy I want to leave for my kids? Like this lemonade stand, for example. This lemonade stand for me has everything to do with what Dane is seeing. And giving back and also being entrepreneurial and then also the community.
Yeah.
It's like we can do something so fun. It doesn't take that much heavy lifting. It feels so freaking good. And then for me to find a newer entrepreneur like Zach in the Scatterjoy project, I'm like, oh, I'm getting behind you all day long. So those are the 4 things. And then what's really powerful with this, and I think we can all use a lesson from this, if something doesn't belong in one of those 4 squares, get it the fuck out of your head. Get it out. And that's the most powerful part of it. So if it's not me first, if it's not invest in your inner circle, if it's not build your empire, and if it's not improving the atmosphere, it doesn't belong. Everything else is noise.
Everything else is noise.
Yeah.
So you had empire in there, but I feel like this is a full circle we're into. The majority of that, at least the beginning of it, was the best version of Keri, and I totally wholeheartedly agree with this, was family first, right? How do I show up best for my kids? So But I'm also going back to these case studies, or whatever you want to call them, that you're doing with the B Lab, where you have the dreamer first all the way up to someone at mountaintop getting burnout, stuck, whatever. I feel like they all could be encompassed in there too, right? Because especially with the dreamer and the startup, is your mind is like, I have to be everything to everyone. Everyone's a customer. Everyone's a vendor. I have to be right. But it's like, if you could just stay in that, and it's not like have tunnel vision where I'm not willing to expand and when I come across an opportunity, take advantage of it. But I think, man, what great advice. Do you see it that way too? To pass on to some of the people in the B Lab is like, if you stay in these components, all the boxes get checked, everything's important, everything else is noise, and you're going to grow this thing based on what's important to you.
Well, so it's funny you say that, because you have blocked, which we talked about, and blocked is like kind of could be all mindset, but the beginning is the first prototype. It's called beginning. And you just hit it on the head, and it's a solo cast that I want to do soon. Because if you're doing your job with someone in the beginning, the first thing we're talking about. So if somebody has the idea, if somebody has just started or they're getting ready to just start their business, the first thing we're going to talk about beyond like the alignment and the why, you may already have that, is do not be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
It's that is the best piece of business advice someone could have ever given me. I didn't get it early enough with SOS. When you are a beginning baby entrepreneur, you want everyone to like you. You think this product or service is the most special thing. It is a child, it's a baby, and that's what makes you good. Mm-hmm. But if a savvy business person who's been there can say to you, you're going to make even more impact if you get laser focused on the person you were meant to serve. That is a complete game. It changes your whole trajectory.
Yeah.
Or it saves you years of pain and effort in trying to, you want the demographic to be everyone. Mm-hmm. And so if you're doing your job, helping someone in the beginning, that's one of the first things you talk about.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, you're like, holy shit, things could be so much easier because I don't want to serve dicks. Mm-hmm. I don't want to serve assholes. I don't give a shit about most of these people because they don't care about my product, my service. I want that like small pool of incredible people that I can actually make an impact with. And the next thing you know, you're like, oh my God, it's a completely different game.
Well, and if I could add, you're going to confuse your audience. You're going to confuse your team. Who are we? Mm-hmm. Rory Vaden has this awesome analogy. Speaks on exactly what you just said. Aim small, miss small.
Yeah.
Right. If you are honed in, truly laser focus on your target audience, target goals, target reason, target communities. I mean, everything else is outside of that circle, and it's it's funny. You're like this. 20 years ago, I might have like listened to this. But I've had more than, not a lot, but maybe a couple of people say in the past like 6 months, right? Like leading up to the launch and stuff, we're building up the technology and stuff. You know what you should do, Michael? You should also team up with like DoorDash, and you could deliver people's groceries while you're on the way to their house with their laundry. And I'm like,
yeah.
Now 20 years ago,
you would have listened.
The people pleaser would probably been like, oh, really?
Yeah.
They'll like me more and there's more revenue. No, that's not what we're serving. That's not what we're doing, right? But it kind of reminded me of what you're talking like. And what an awesome gift you can give to somebody in the beginning stage because they don't have that experience to know that.
Here's another gift for that person. Mm-hmm. Never listen to not one. I'm not even going to give an exception. You don't listen to one person who hasn't done something that you want to do. Mm. Everybody's well-intentioned, right? So I'm going to go listen to Uncle Joe who thinks it's a good idea to have, or marketing myopia where it's like, it's like you listen to the people who have done what you want to do. Get yourself in rooms with those people, go to ChatGPT and figure out who the fuck those people are and just get really, really obsessed. That's what you do.
Oh, it goes back to that mentorship community, right? Like go find them.
Yes.
And if you find the true ones, they want to help you back. I mean, they want to help you. You talk a lot in this, this platform about different subjects. And I think the more we open up to others, but I think small business and entrepreneurs are supposed to look at like, you have all the answers and I know what I'm doing. And I just think, someone's especially first starting out, like look at that guy who started that company, you know, your parents' friend or your neighbor or your uncle, and go ask them how they did it, you know. And I believe that a really successful entrepreneur, for doing it for the right reasons, is begging you to ask them, because they want to share with you their knowledge. They're proud of you for wanting to start something on your own. So they're just as eager to help you as you are eager to, you know, you're thirsty for that knowledge. So I think, you know, reaching out and then going finding other peers that are maybe in the same season, right? Maybe you're in the dreaming phase, maybe you're in the launch, maybe you're in scaling, or maybe you're mountaintop. You're like, I don't know what to do next. I think just reaching out to other people who are, you know, in those same shoes, and just start collaborating on what they're doing next or how they're getting through it. And I had some amazing conversations over the past 20 years with entrepreneurs who are in completely different spaces than I was. We had nothing in common, you know, as far as like the products or the services, but our problems were the same.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, you got everything in common.
Yeah.
Except the widget.
Yeah, except the widget.
You know, another thing in the beginning. Well, actually, that's not true. It's not just beginning. So the build out too, we're doing. I mean, you can have these lessons in multiple of these prototypes. It depends on like what specific situation. But something that keeps coming up is pricing psychology. And I'm going to do a solo cast on that too, because I'm very passionate about it. Figuring out your pricing model is insane. It's like people are they're sluts. We're sluts. We're insecure. It's like it goes back to
You're so right.
how you feel about, you know, yourself or what you would buy. It's like, no, here's the best pricing advice I could possibly give anybody, just for, you know, in the interest of time here, is instead of looking at your product or your service and saying, okay, it cost me this, I'm going to add this onto it, and I'm going to charge this.
Yep.
Right? What is the perceived value of your product or service?
A lot of people don't have the confidence to think it's worth.
No, but that's
what it is.
That's what we go. I mean, we talk in we go granular.
Yep.
We talk psychology. We also have to remember, like, and so many entrepreneurs do this because I experienced this with my previous company. I would have arguments around apparel and what we would be charging for apparel. And I would get this back, like, well, I shop at Old Navy, or I shop here. I would never pay like $78 for this hoodie. That isn't how you set up your pricing in your business. I don't give a shit how much you're going to spend. Going back to like who you're serving, what we just talked about in terms of like really focusing in, who's that person? What are they spending? Because I promise you, like, unless you want to be in like a, you know, like Dollar Tree type environment where you're like super cheap and you're doing it fine. But if you want a premium-ish product, you know, like you have to figure out, what is that person? How do they perceive your brand? What are they willing to spend on it? And by the way, I hate to, like, can I remind people, there are people like me out there who feel like if it's too cheap, I want to poke a hole in it. I want to pay a little bit more for it. So if you haven't, if you're an entrepreneur out there and you have not done sort of a deep dive on like the psychology of your pricing model, the why, like where you're trying to fit in the market, I highly recommend doing it. Unless things are going well and you've kind of figured it out. If things feel clunky and you're like, shit, like I'm not making, like whether it's the B Lab or somebody else, step back and like have those conversations and do that deep dive. There's nothing more important. It's how much money you're making per.
Well, it's what's the market gonna, what are they gonna perceive? So I come back to this a lot in this example. I've had conversations with entrepreneurs about this. 15, maybe now 20 years ago, two dudes had this idea. I think we can make really nice coolers and sell them for $400.
Yeah.
Right? Like Yeti at the time, are you kidding me? When like, who was it, Coleman? And like the little push neon buttons on the side and push for $40 at one. Like you were going 10x with that idea. And here we are today, right? I'm heart first, right? I feel like the Fluff is, what better way to serve people than cleaning their laundry. But when I knew from a pure business standpoint and like the need when it comes to like the sale, I was in a hurry to go somewhere, and I was leaving, and 20 minutes before I leave, my son says, Dad, can you order me Jimmy John's? I say, order you Jimmy John's. And before I was walking out the door, it came, it was delivered, whatever, and I got the alert. And I looked down, and it was right? Because this whole thing was already like fresh in my brain. So a text or an alert that you normally don't look at, especially when you're kind of in a hurry, I looked down and the $8 sub was like $19.50. Why? Because it was convenient.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and by the way, when I said I was in a hurry, I was going to get in my Uber. So it's like all these convenience factors come in, right? Like the market's going to pay what's convenient.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I always come back to that Jimmy John story. It was at the right time at the right place. I'm like, oh, that's what we want to pay for. And back to your like, sell me on, it's like time. What are we going to do with our time? And I don't know. I think that's, the $78 sweatshirt, if it's a quality item and it's at a premium facility, they're going to look at it and go, oh, this is Keri's shop. This is premium stuff here. Yeah.
I mean, and there's just so many things. You're just so quick to want to like hurry up and do it. And people just, they don't take the time to step back and really create a strategy or a philosophy around some of these things that would just save them. So, and that's what I want to do is like, I want to help people either avoid landmines or like, course correct.
Yeah.
You don't have to stay doing it the way you're doing it because you are doing it that way. It's like you don't.
My biggest pet peeve. Why do you guys do something like that?
Because we've always done it.
We do it this way because the way we've always done it. Like, I can't stand it.
And listen, if it's working, if you can show me,
sure.
If it's working, great. But like, there are so many things that could just refine, finesse, and guess what? Increase profitability. Because that's the king profit. If you want to be more of a premium to mid, but you're kind of selling yourself, what have you done here? It's hard to recoup from that. If you're constantly doing sales or you're driving your price, like take a step back and like, let's look at this thing and how can we make your life more profitable, more aligned? How can we make it better?
Yeah.
I think people they're prideful. They don't know what they don't know. They're in the grind and they don't realize like you can't. When's the last time you've spent money on coaching for yourself or your business? That's one of the top things you could possibly do for yourself, whether you have a business or not. What kind of coaching or what kind of opportunities are out there for you for growth? Like spend some money on that. Open your eyes, like widen your lens.
Blows my mind that in 2025, people think I'm crazy because I go to therapy every 2 weeks. Are you okay? What's wrong? Nothing. Maybe, right? Maybe there's some days there are something wrong.
Yeah.
But it's like, why can we go to the gym and look at our physical health and not take the same approach to our mental health? We're doing check-ins. We're doing, hey, 30,000 feet. What are you seeing? Where's blind spots?
Yeah.
How can I be better? Same with like a seminar or like coaching or
business coaching.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people out there, if you're being really honest, you're holding really close to this baby that you've created, right? And you don't want anybody calling it ugly.
Yep.
And so guess what I'm going to do in a very loving way? I'm going to call it ugly. If there are things that are ugly, I'm also going to tell you the beautiful things about it, but you got to get out of your own way. And that's another thing too. When you have built something for, let's say, a decade and it is time, if you do want to scale it, no one gives a fuck in another market what you're doing here. You could have a cult-like following and everybody loves you. Nobody knows you. And so you may have to do things. Now, I'm not saying lose the brand identity. Of course, brand is going to be that much more important, but you're going to have to do things like figure out how to sell it, how to like get feet through the door, how to create awareness again, going from zero in some of these markets. And so you have to change your like, oh, we're so great, we're this, really? Because nobody knows who the fuck you are there. So how are you going to get those people to feel the way they feel here? It doesn't just happen.
Well, it's a lot of hoping and wishing that I want my ugly baby to look like that or go do those things.
Yeah.
Well, the only way you're going to be able to do it is, the work, putting in the actions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could talk about this all damn day.
Well,
Can you tell?
You said alignment. I'm like, I could go on for an hour more about that.
It's crazy. So I wish you nothing but the best of luck. I really feel good about this. I think your branding, I'm a branding snob. Your branding, I would give like 9.5, if not more out of 10. I was very impressed. Like the color. I like I just like everything you got going on. I like that you're willing to just, roll up your sleeves, make it happen. And my prediction is pretty much in line with yours for you in the next 5 years. I think you're going to have a lot of trucks.
Thank you.
A lot of trucks. And thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Keri.
You're single?
Fun. I am.
All right.
Here she goes.
Hey, listen, there's a lot of angles here. You're single and ready to mingle. Hey, get it. Listen, ladies, get in before he has about 100 trucks, okay? This is what I'm saying. He's a one-truck man right now. So, timing is everything. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Keri.
And if you're still out there following your girl, follow me on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And until next time, go to the Fluff app, get some laundry service. Let me know how it goes, and keep moving, baby.